Hello everyone, welcome to Marketing 459 Professional Selling and Sales Management. This is chapter 16, right? In chapter 16, let's talk about how to evaluate a salesperson's performance. Evaluating a salesperson's performance. Right? Human rights activist Malcolm X, you probably heard about him, right? He once said this, right? Every defeat, every heartbreak, every loss contains its own seed, its own lessons on how to improve your performance the next time. Okay? So every defeat you had, every heartbroken time you had, every loss, every contains its own seed. Okay? The seed is and its own lesson on how to improve your performance next time. So you want to evaluate so as to make sure your salespeople, your sales force will perform better next time. That's all the purpose of evaluating salesperson's performance. Okay. So now, how do you evaluate the salesperson's performance? What is the procedure for you to follow? Okay. Here's what you should do or you can do. Right. First step is establish a basic policy. Establish your basic policies as to how to evaluate. And second, select your evaluation basis. What do you base your evaluation on? Okay? Your evaluation basis. 3, set your performance standards. Set your performance standards. And 4, compare performances standards. Okay, compare your salesperson performance with the standards you set. Okay? And finally, discuss the results with salespeople. Discuss the results with salespeople so they know where they fell short and how to make improvements. Okay, so that's the evaluation procedure. Okay. And how often should you evaluate your salespeople's performance? Right? How often should you do that? The frequency of performance evaluations. The survey says that of all the sales organizations, and percentage-wise here, okay, there are 19% companies that do not do evaluation at all. And you'll be surprised to find that some companies, or almost 1/5 of all the companies, they don't do evaluations. Okay, for whatever reason, they just don't do it. Okay, and the 43% do the evaluations at least quarterly, at least, or even more frequent than that. Okay, could be more frequent than that. Right? Excuse me. 13% do it quarterly to biannually, for 2 to 4 times a year, and 25% do it biannually to annually, just once or twice a year. So how often should you, as sales manager, do to evaluate your sales performance? I guess it depends on your company's, the nature of your business, and the traditional way of doing that, habits, traditions, and the manager's preferences. And depends on what kind of manager do you have. Right? Maybe the person had a lot of experience with other companies where they did a lot of evaluations. Now the new boss will bring in more evaluation to this workplace. So it depends on a lot on the personnel changes, factors. Okay, that's frequency of performance evaluations. Okay, what are the factors or basis used as evaluation base? Okay, basis. The output factors. Okay, obviously you can do sales volume. You can do your evaluation based on sales volume. That's probably the most frequent and widely used measures. Okay, and either in dollars or in units, or by products and customers or customer groups. Okay, product and customers or customer groups. Or the sales volume by mail, by telephone, by personal sales calls. Use those as your basis. Okay? Or you can use the sales volume as a percentage of quota. What percentage of the quota is achieved, right? What percent of quota is met? You met your quota or not? Okay. And also sales volume as a percentage of market potential. That is like market share. Okay, how big of market share have you obtained, through your work in the past period? Okay, market potential. Okay. You can also use the gross margin by product line, by customer group, or by order size. Okay. You can even count the orders, number of orders, average size of orders, that's dollar volume of the order. Average size, how big is the dollar value of the order, sales order. Okay. You can do batting average. What's a batting average? Batting average is a term used in baseball. It's like the orders divided by number of calls. Number of orders divided by number of calls. Let's say you made 100 calls and you got 50 orders. 50 divided by 100 is 50%, right? Normally it's a 50 percentage is 50%. So your batting average is 50%. In other words, for every 2 calls you made, you have the potential, or you have the probability of getting 1 sales order. Okay, 1 in 2. Okay, that's batting average. And also number of canceled orders. You may have your sales orders, but it could be canceled later on by the customers. Of course, that doesn't count. So you have too many of those canceled orders, that could be a problem. Okay, by looking at the canceled orders. Also, you can look at by the accounts. Remember, in sales management, account is not like accounting ledger book, account ledger. Account in the accounting ledger. Okay, in account, in our sense, is the customer. An account is a customer. A customer is an account. Right, so you can look at the percentage of accounts sold. Right, the number of new accounts, how many new customers you have. Right, the number of lost accounts, how many customers you lost. Okay, and number of accounts with overdue payment. You may have a lot of accounts, but they're not paying, or they delay their payment. Right, it's an overdue payment. It's getting too big, too much, then there's a problem with that customer or with that account. So number of accounts with overdue payment is actually very important to the company's bottom line and to accounting and finance people. And we are boss, of course. Okay. There are some quantitative input factors as evaluation basis that you can use. Quantitative factors, input factors. Calls per day, we call it call rate. Calls per day, call rate. How many sales calls per day can you do? Okay. Remember, the calls is a visit. Okay. How many visits? How many customers do you visit? Can you visit in a day? Okay. How many days worked? How many days a week did you work? Or in the month you worked? How many days in the year you worked? Okay. Selling time versus non-selling time. Okay. Selling time versus non-selling time. You go out, visit your customers, doing the talk, right? Handling their objections. That's selling time. You stay in the office, preparing, do pre-approach, do all this work, office work. At home, that's non-selling time. Okay? You want to have at least certain percentage or certain amount of selling time compared with your non-selling time. Okay? You can also use quantitative measures such as direct selling expense in total, or as percentage of sales volume, or as a percentage of quota, okay, the direct selling expense, okay, and also non-selling activities. Your non-selling activities, like advertising displays set up. How many advertising displays have you set up? Okay, emails, letters written to the prospects, okay, telephone calls made to prospects, okay, number of meetings held with dealers or distributors, okay, collections made, how many accounts that's overdue and you made a phone call and collect the money, collect the payment, that's a collection made, okay, how many collections did you make, and number of customer complaints received, number of customer complaints you received about you, about your customer. So that has something to do with how well you serve the customer and whether there's some issues that can be resolved. Okay? Complaints. Okay, these are quantitative measures. Okay, there are also qualitative input factors as basis for evaluation. Okay, and these are not quantitative but qualitative that can also be used. Okay, personal efforts of the sales rep, management of their time. Can you do time management well? And do well your time management, manage your time well. Okay, planning and preparation for calls. Right? Planning and preparation for sales calls. Okay? Quality of sales presentations. Now, this is definitely a qualitative measure. Yeah? The quality of sales presentations. Yeah? And ability to handle objections and to close sales. Ability to handle objections and to close sales. Okay? Your knowledge about your product, your company, and the company policies, your competitors' products, your knowledge about your competitors' products and their strategies, okay? And also your knowledge about your customers. Okay? And another qualitative one is customer relations. You know, how good, how bad is your relations with your customers? Okay? Customer relationship management issue. Okay? Personal appearance and health. Personal appearance and health. Yeah. Personality and attitudinal factors. Personality and attitudinal factors, such as cooperativeness. Are you cooperative enough? Okay. Resourcefulness. Are you full of resource? It could be a resource to other people, to your peers. Mm-hmm. Acceptance of responsibility. Do you accept your responsibility, or you reject or ignore your responsibility? Okay? Ability to analyze logically and make decisions. Okay? Are you able to analyze with logic and make good, sound decisions? These, of course, are all qualitative measures, but they all can be used as a basis of evaluation. Okay? There are some ratio measures that you can use. Okay, ratio measures you use, right? Let's look at sales, right? What does a sale equal to? Okay, your total sales volume equal to. We can divide that into different components. Okay, we can look at the days worked. Okay, days, how many days did you work? Okay, how many days worked? And of the days worked, how many calls did you make? Calls divided by days worked. Okay, and then you can look at the of all the calls you made, how many of them resulted in orders received. So orders per calls. Okay, and then we also look at the total sales divided by the total number of orders you received. Okay, there are terms for these things here, right? Days worked is just days worked, right? What is number of calls divided by days worked? That's how many calls did you make divided by the total number of days you worked. That's actually call rate. Okay, called rate. The calls you make per day, that's called rate. Okay. And what is the orders? The number of orders divided by the number of calls you made. Okay? That's actually the batting average. The batting average is total number of orders you received divided by total number of calls you made. Batting average is how good, how well you do. And then what is the sales over divided by number of orders? Total sales divided by total number of orders you got is actually the average order, the size of the average order. Okay? So why is this why these things all combined, all multiplied by this, and that equal to sales? If you look at this, days worked here, days worked here, cancel each other, right? Calls here and calls here, canceling each other. Orders here and orders here, canceling each other. All you have left is the sales. Of course, sales equals sales, total sales. So basically, what makes up your total sales is how many days you worked, your call rate, your batting average, and average order. So basically, what is a day's worked? That's how much you work, right? How much you work, right? What about the call rate, right? This is also your how efficient you worked, right? How efficient you work. And what about the batting average? Is how lucky you worked. How lucky did you work, right? And average order is also how much you work, how lucky and how well you worked, right? So basically, your sales is a factor of how hard you work, how efficient you work, how lucky you worked, and how much you worked. Altogether makes up your sales. Okay? So we can use these measures, these ratios, as measures of your performance. Okay? So this is a behaviorally anchored rating scale for evaluating team participation. Something you have sales teams, right? How well you participated in the sales team. There's some behaviorally anchored rating scale for evaluating that. This example here, I say the rating description is outstanding. What is the outstanding performance? You can give a numeric rating of 10. Okay? 10. The behavior for that outstanding performance can be expected to go beyond what is normally expected to help the team achieve its goals. You can be expected to go beyond what is normally expected and to help the team achieve the goal. You get a 10. Outstanding. Okay. What is an average, above average performance or a numeric rating of 8? You can be expected always to cooperate and contribute to the team objectives. Tries hard to help make the team successful. Okay? Tries hard. Okay? That's an 8. What is an average? Average or score of 5? Usually willing to cooperate and participate in team efforts. That's an average, 5. Below average, or 2, can be expected to participate in team efforts only to the extent required. Okay? Shows no initiative with regard to the team efforts. That's below average. Not good, right? What is a poor or 0? Unwilling to participate. At times may work against team goals. That's pretty bad, right? You want to get rid of this kind of players in your team. Okay? So this is, of course, kind of a subjective, is evaluation here. Okay, this is for you to take into consider using. Okay. Here's an example of, let's look at the example of the of companies, salespeople's job performance, quantitative measures. Let's look at that. Okay, this the two salespeople here, Joe Jackson and Gus Dean, two guys here, right? And the product line they're selling, it could be they're selling equipment and clothing, right? Total sales in thousands of dollars. You know, Joe, he sold $480,000 worth of equipment, $720,000 of clothing. Okay, and then his total is 1,200 or $1.2 million he sold for the company, and 1.2 million he made. Okay, and then for the total of 1.2 million, 760,000 of them is a sporting goods store selling to sporting goods stores. 440 of them was selling to ski shops. Here are the numbers in equipment and clothing. Okay, so a lot of to sporting goods stores, some to ski shops. He made 700 phone calls, sales calls, 700 calls in a year. That's almost like visited two customers a day, right? 700, 300 to sporting goods, 400 to ski shops. Okay, total orders taken 500 orders, right? Of which 150 to sporting goods, 350 to ski shops. Okay, how many days he worked? 220 days. Okay, and his expenses is $48,000. Okay, and the miles traveled, he drove a lot, 60,000 miles. Okay, and the total market potential in millions. Okay? So this is 2, 4, and 6 total. Okay, so and for this is for sporting goods and shop. Okay, and if you look at these are the basic numbers. For Gastin, it's the same, right? He gets 220,000 for equipment and 460,000 for clothing, for a total of 680,000. So almost half of what Joe did. Okay, and then there's a breakup of those. Right, his expenses 40,000. Okay, 40,000 versus 48,000 for Joe. If you look at this, what do you think? Who is doing better? His revenue is only about half as Joe, but his expense is about the same as Joe. So Joe seems to be a more efficient, salesperson, sales rep, right? And also he travels less than Joe, okay? And that's total market potentials. We'll look at some quantitative analysis measures, right? If you look at average order size, right? For Joe, for equipment, the average size of order is $5,000. $5,000 per order, yeah, and $1,200 for clothing, okay. Whereas for Gus, for the average order for equipment is only 1,000, right? Clothing about the same, 3,300, 1,200, 1,300, right? But the equipment is only almost like 1/5 of what Joe did. Okay, what's batting average? Batting average for equipment for Joe is 0.5, and on closing is 0.875. The total is 0.7. Right? For Gus though, for equipment is 0.9, and for clothing is 0.3. So average is 0.6. Okay, so who is a better person or better in getting a higher batting average or luckier? Right? You can see that the Joe is luckier on clothing, right? Not so lucky on equipment. On the other hand, Gus is luckier on equipment and poorly on clothing. But overall, still 0.7 versus 0.6, Joe is a little better. Okay, calls per day, Joe actually made less calls per day, right? And miles per call, Joe traveled a lot, we know that. Okay, expenses per sales dollars, right? Yeah, that's percentage-wise, Joe is more efficient, less expensive. Okay, And cost per call excluding commission, right? Excluding commission, that's $68 per call, the cost, versus 44. So Joe is more expensive, right? And the cost per order, sales order excluding commission, is 96 versus 66. So the cost is higher. So what do you think about the two guys? Who is doing better? Yeah. You can conclude that Joe is doing better, yeah, and virtually on everything. Okay, of course she's a little more expensive, okay, but his batting average is higher, right? And average order size is higher, yeah, 24 versus 11, right? So it's comparing these two salespeople. Okay, let's do another one. Paula Burns. Paula. Right? Paula is her total was $5.5 million here, right? This is a company total. All three of them together, all three sales together is $2.4 million in sales. Okay, and for Paula, this is her equipment sales, ski shop sales, etc. Right? Total calls made, right? And total calls made to ski shops or sporting goods, and total orders taken, right? Days work, okay? Days worked, expenses, right? And miles traveled. She seems to spend less and also traveled less than the other two, okay? Than Joe and Gus, okay? And look at her total market potential here, sporting goods, okay? And look at the average order size, yeah. Her average order size for equipment and clothing are both much smaller. You see, only 650 and 578, okay? Whereas for the total, all salespeople total, average is 1,500 and 947. So where did Paula do not as well and the other guys? His size of order is smaller. You tend to get a smaller order, smaller sized order from those maybe smaller size stores, or her size order. What about her batting average? Her batting average on equipment is not bad, right? And clothing is actually pretty good too. Okay, 0.77 is also pretty good. The average here is total for all of them. Okay, calls per day, she's better than average, right? Miles per call, lower than average. Okay, and expensive per sales dollars, higher than average. Okay, cost per call excluding commission is low. Cost per call excluding cost per order excluding commission is also low. Okay, so this we have the individual ones. You can compare salesperson to salesperson. Also compare salesperson to company average. All of them, right? Finally, let's look at the three, compare all three of them and versus the total company average. Okay, so who is a better salesperson, sales rep? Okay, if you look at total number of sales, Joe definitely is, right? $1.2 million, right? Gus, half of that. Yeah. Paula, less than half, right? And yeah. There's three of them. Okay, together is 2.4 million. For the 2.4, Joe contributed almost half of that. Okay, you can look at the expenses. Like miles traveled, Joe's traveled a lot or harder a lot. The other two, 35,000 miles versus Joe's 60,000. Okay, and the expenses, Joe is higher, but not too much higher. You see, his sales was like twice as much, more than twice as much, but his expense is not that much higher than the other two, 48 versus 40 and 36. Okay, so he's actually more efficient. Okay, and also you look at average order size of order. Okay, and you can see that Joe is getting big orders on equipment. Okay, way bigger than Gus, and way bigger, almost 5, 8, 9 times bigger than Paula. Okay, Clothing though, on clothing, the average order is about same here and here, but they both are higher than Paula. Okay, Paula may need to improve on that. Okay, batting average, Joe is good at this ski shops. Okay, so okay at sporting goods stores, and Gus is good, really good at the equipment. Okay, but very poorly on clothing. And Paula is actually good at both, but it's just her average size of order, and total volume is lower. Okay. As to the cost per order, or cost per sales, or cost per call, or cost per order, you can see that Joe is higher, right? Joe is higher. The other two is lower. Okay. So how do you? Who's your top sales? Right? Joe is the top sales overall. Okay. And Paula is probably the weakest in sales total. Right. But they all have their own niche, right? Own long points, good points, right? Like Gus is probably better, good at selling to those sporting goods stores, and Paula is good at selling to both types. But Joe is probably not so good at equipment. So we want to take all these into consideration when asking them or helping them to plan for the next quarter. It's actually next year in this case. So next year, to set their goals for the next year. Okay, I think that's all I have for this chapter. Thank you. I'll see you next time.